Freeman. When I was driving here from North Tucson, on 79, I just kept thinking, there's all this wasteland. It's all this wasteland. That mining company is willing to do all 7,000 feet. Why don't they spend that money finding a way to find the metals they want in in all the wastelands that are here? It really doesn't make sense that they're destroying this property that we all enjoyed. I had actually been driving to New Mexico, and I had counted Oak Flat before this whole big mess came up. Recently, I mentioned in the Superior hearing that the mine is not technically feasible. And that's why I was so glad to hear the first speaker that if we're going to do mines in beautiful places in mountains, there's got to be a better way to do it. But in this case, the mining company, and remember the Canadian Mining Company, whereas the 1872 mining law that Forest Service is always touting says citizens can own the mining claims, and these Canadians are not U.S. citizens, and they will be paying no federal taxes and no royalties, and they'll be taking the copper out of our land and selling it back to U.S. at market price. Now, what kind of deal is that? Anyway, I mentioned recently at the Superior hearing that the mine is not technically feasible. And here's the fact. They have to drain the whole region down to 7,000 feet and maintain it at that depth because cave block mining cannot be done in wet soil. This is information from Rio Tinto's own report. So the mine will, to keep it dry, will be a challenge. And one reason the mining would be a challenge is the mine site is covered with lava flow, the Apache Tuff. The tuff has been studied by USGS several times. In 1975, they determined that age of the Apache leaf tuff as early Miocene, meaning the low end of 23 to 5 million years.
Hi, I'm Roger Featherstone, Director of the Arizona Mining Reform Coalition, ROGERFEATHERSTONE. We asked that this DIS be withdrawn and rewritten and a new comment period issued on the new DEIS because there's just so many holes in this document. As big as it is, there's so much that's missing. I want to kind of focus on purpose and need tonight. From what I gleaned from the DES, the purpose is to allow Resolution Copper to fulfill a need to make unlimited profits for their owners, Rio Tinto and BHP. And this is not what was supposed to happen according to the National Environmental Policy Act. Next week, BHP, the minority owner of Resolution Copper, will be holding their annual general meeting in London. The company will crow about their finances and rub their hands with glee as to how they can make more money. They'll probably talk about this project. They'll talk about other projects. they'll shed crocodile tears about their involvement in the tailings dam failure at San Marco in Brazil, the mine they co-owned with Vale. That was the worst mine spill, tailing spill so far in the world. Activists from Brazil will be there to point out how wrong the company is about how well they've done in cleaning this up and how their efforts have fallen short. BHP will respond by saying they pledge to do better and to follow the law. Yet, if this initial tailings dam site is chosen, the Near West facility, those of us sitting in this room, if that tailing dam burst, we'd have 18 minutes to get out of the valley. 18 minutes. That's how close this site would be. Somebody talked about the Skunk Camp site. That site is 15 minutes from the community of Dripping Springs. And if this tailings dam burst, 1.5 billion tons of toxic waste would flood this town, or Dripping Springs, or any of their locations. All 5 tailings facilities proposals would be illegal in Brazil, in Chile, and even in the United States. Why does BHP remain involved in a project that can't meet the law? When you get right down to it, the purpose of the Forest Service is to protect our land, air, and water, and the need is to protect Arizona's communities and environment, not what's in the DEIS. And then lastly, I'll point out, so far there's been about 75 people that have testified during this public portion, and so far only 2 have spoken in favor of this project, both of who are intimately tied with the company. Thank you.
Number 58.
Good evening, my name is Wayne Swernovi Sr., WEMD, SLER, NOSIE. I just ask you to bear with me because this is my life. It's not a game that we're playing here. First of all, I want to say San Carlos is not, there's no public hearing in San Carlos as well, and a lot of our people are not able to make it here. But we're able to do the Forest Service's job and collect statements from our people to submit it to you tonight, and also a statement from the stronghold on our position on this report. And I'd like to have Bonsa, give it to Bosworth, because this is a future. Bosworth, what you're receiving from my granddaughter here is the future of our children. You need to take that under consideration of what you're going to do to the future. And second but not least, the most important part is that there's no religion. The religion was never ever addressed or talked to or brought into the report. We faced a chemical warfare. Our people jumped to their death, and our people were forced marched from the area to Old San Carlos. And we were held there as prisoners of war. Our people were not able to leave until 1974, until President Nixon gave us the Self-Determination Act, where Indian tribes can begin to speak for themselves. We didn't actually know what the voice meant until the 1980s. But in the meantime, the federal government got to play with us, and corporations got to play with us during that time. So in the prophecy, it's about returning home, coming home. Our elders passed away with the dream of going home one day, because we were promised, we were told that once we become civilized and be good Indians and be Americans, that they can finally begin to give back some of the land to us. That was all a total lie. Our people were lied to. That's what all you people need to understand. And like Amy said earlier about what responsibilities Bosworth has now. But we know for a fact it's in Congress. We know for a fact it's those leaders. He's going to have to do what he's going to do. More than likely, he's going to allow this to go through, because he has to give that approval to the people higher up. And those are the people that we elect into office. Are they here for you, or are they really here for all of us? Because the one thing we have in common is water. Water is life. All these things don't mean anything if there's no water. And that's where we're headed to. And that's something that religiously you have to really think about. So tonight, what I'm going to tell Bosworth tonight is that I'm going to fulfill the dream of my people. I'm going home. I'm going back to Old Founts. I'm going to go back and live there, because that was the promise from the government to our people that we will return home to our sacred lands, our holy lands. So he can have the responsibility to throw me in jail, exile me out of there, or do what they did to my people 100 years ago. And then they may have the help of Resolution Copper taking us down. But what I am gonna call for in this country is religious people to stand with me, because this isn't right. This is not right, morally. So if that is in your heart and that's what you believe, then we have to stand for what's left in this world, because if not, it's all being destroyed by corporations. So the big evil that we see that came across the ocean is not you people. It's colonization that came here that's destroying everything. So in order to defend that, we have to go home. So I'm going home when the winter season comes, and that's the new door for me to come back home to my people. So I'm gonna be back at Oak Flights. And that's what I wanna leave you with. That's something that you guys have to deal with. I'm going home. I'm coming home.
Fifty-four?
Good evening. I'm Mark Horlings, Chair of the Maricopa Audubon Society. It's M-A-R-K. Last name is H-O-R-L-I-N-G-S. Maricopa Audubon's been involved in opposing this project since the early 2000s, both on the merits and also because the land exchange is basically an effort to circumvent environmental protections that should apply to the whole project. I want to spend the little time I have just on one small issue about the total water that's going to be used. The Arizona Mines and Mining Department has done one study over Arizona mines to show how much water is used per pound of copper produced. And Resolution Copper says they're going to be able to do this for 15,000 acre feet a year. That study indicated that it would take 10 times as much water. And there's no refutation of that study or discussion of that study in the draft environmental impact statement. And when you look at the draft environmental impact statement, it has net figures only. You cannot tell how much total water is going to be used. You cannot tell how much water is going to be used in the mine, how much water is going to be used to concentrate, how much water is going to be used to make the slurry to take the waste away. There's also a figure in there that's used repeatedly to say that 87,000 acre feet are going to come from the mine itself. There's an explanation for why the report does that, but they do not include that in their own figures as to the total amount of water that is to be used. That amount should have been included. Number one, that water, this is water where they dewater the mine. That water is going down to Apache Junction and being used for agricultural uses right now. So if it's not being added and doesn't need to be included that way, it's going to reduce the supply of water that's going to be available for agricultural uses. And there's another reason that 87,000 needs to be looked at. It may disappear. One of the things hidden in the environmental impact statement is that the water level near the shafts has dropped by 2,000 feet in the last 10 years. So that water not only, well, my time is up. Thank you very much.
69?
Thank you. First, I'd like to say, well, first I'll say who I am. Sandy Barr, S-A-N-D-Y, BAHR. I'm the chapter director for Sierra Club in Arizona. And I wanted to thank everyone for coming out and for all of the wonderful comments and for the 15 plus years that many of us have been fighting what is truly an abomination. Destruction of Oak Flat, the plants, the animals, the cultural resources, the spiritual values, the great harm to the people. When you take away someone's sense of place, when you sever those connections to the land, it's an assault. It's an assault. It's a wound that you can't heal. This project cannot be mitigated. I want to say that I think that the draft environmental impact statement is deficient in many, many ways. But one big one is the mining method. You can't just say it's unreasonable to look at other methods of mining because there is no God-given right for them to squeeze every bit of copper out of that place. There's not even Congress given right for that. And so I think that we need to go back and look at that. There's no right to destroy the place. The Forest Service needs to look hard at this company as well, whether they financially can manage this. What happens if they get partway through? 6 years in, you already have subsidence, and they can't afford to continue. Copper prices bottom out. We've seen it happen before, and then we're left with something that has been truly been devalued. So I hope you'll take a really good hard look at that. Of course, Supervisor Bosworth, I think you can say no. I think you can say no to this. Congress made it as hard as possible to say no. We get that. We get that the Forest Service didn't want this land exchange, but find a way. You can find a way to get to no with this proposal. This is not in the public's interest. There's nothing about this that is in the public's interest. It's an inappropriate way to use this land. The method is wrong. What they're doing to the water. When you look at what is happening with water, not just here, not just in this country, but around the world, this is a resource that we must value more. And my time is up, so I just want to say one more time, find a way to get to know.
Amen.
She, Sandra Ramler, would say, "En garden shady. Naritos and Bundesteen, it took I am a member of the Eagle clan and born for the Rocks people. And my family comes from Oak Flat. This is so emotional for me because my great-grandparents are buried there. I can't imagine you going and having a foreign company coming in and destroying your ancestors for the Lincoln Memorial, for the Arlington Cemetery, because there would be a big outrage, and this is just not right. Rio Tinto, as far as I know, BHP, they are murderers. They are murderers. They've already killed so many people causing cancer, and they are going to continue to kill and kill and kill. That was a project of the federal government to terminate the Native American people, indigenous people of this country. We were persecuted and murdered and killed just because we were here first. And that's a hate crime. And that's prejudice. That's racism. How do you think we our Vacuum Mountain Spirit Dancers. Convicu, that's Devil's Mountain Canyon, that's what the white people named it. But in Apache, it's Apache Mountain Spirit Dancers, but it's the white people that gave it that name, Devil Canyon, which is not a Devil Canyon because they were religious people and they thought that we prayed to whatever we did, but that's our church, that's our way of life. Chichimika Hotel is Oak Flat. That's Picket Post Mountain right there. We have names for the whole area, for all these mountains that you guys don't know, because we're the original inhabitants of this country. We are from here. We were not imported. We didn't come here by anything. We are from here, and you are murdering us. Rio Tinto's nothing but a murder. And I will be standing right by Whistler and being there at Oak Flat where my ancestors are buried. And I'll be in my traditional attire, and when the bulldozer comes, if that's the way I go, that's my destiny. That's how strong I believe in being Apache and proud to be Apache. And I thank Creator God for making me an Apache. Thank you.
67.
Good evening, my name is Roy C. Chavez, R-O-Y-C-H-A-V-E-Z. I am a lifelong resident of Superior, Arizona. I served the town as a former four-term mayor and also as a several-year town manager when this came up. I also worked in the industry. I worked for 5, 6 different mines in different levels of mining, from development, construction, production, extraction underground. I closed the mine in '96 with BHP underground. I worked open pit, I worked smelters. Anyway, this is a mining region. I understand that. I just want to share with you that Superior, Glow, Miami, all these lovely little mining towns were developed by the industry well over 100 years ago. And it's true, the land was taken away by the same government that made false promises then. They're doing it again right now to all of us. They're lying. This is one of the 4 documents of the EIS. We need more time, people. We need more time to investigate this. Concerned Citizens Retired Miners Coalition, in conjunction with Arizona Mining Reform, the San Carlos Apache Tribe, Access, Sierra Club, and many others have been fighting this. I've been on this for over 20 years. They came to me as mayor in 1998, 2 years after the mine closed in '96, and said, Mr. Mayor, we're going to open the mine again. I said, that sounds great, but we're going to need some land. We're going to need a land exchange, and we're going to take away the Oak Flat. I said, what are you doing? We're doing block cave mining. Knowing mining, I said, the hell you are. Not here. Not here. If any of you want to see, go on YouTube and look for the videos that are saying that advertise Oak Flat, Apache Stronghold. Just go on those videos. I've been on many. Just last week, one came out on me the other day. But the point I'm trying to make is that we need more time. This should have been done as we requested over 15 years ago, the NEPA process. But politically, our leadership circumvented the normal process for a land exchange to take place to determine if it was in the best interest of the public. As Roger just said, this project is not. And as long as it goes on further and further, the truths are coming out. Everything is surfacing that they don't want anybody to know. This comment that was made earlier about the contractor who's handling this study, you all better think about that. Because it's just not happening here, it's happening throughout the world. And we better get with it and take care of it. Just want to mention on my final comment, Rio Tinto announced in July of this year that they were backing out of this project to concentrate on Australian mine and the mine in Mongolia. We don't even know if the company has any faith in this project.
Hi, my name is Brittany Miller. It's BrytneeMiller. And I work for the Center for Biological Diversity as the Arizona State Campaigner. But most importantly, I'm an Indigenous woman, I'm a Diné woman. And I want to mention that the other day I was driving through the Morenci mine area. I don't know how many of y'all in this room have been there, but driving through, it's horrifying. It's horrific to bear witness to what that looks like to watch as you see these trees in the green and grass turn into rubble right there. It's apocalyptic. You know, all these movies that come out about the apocalypse, that's what it looked like. That's what it felt like, watching the dirt fly over the car, like fearing to have the AC on. You know, you could hear the earth screaming. And last night, I got to sleep at Oak Flat as well with Amy, and after everyone went to sleep, I sat under an oak tree for a while and reflected on some of the stories that one of our friends who came from San Carlos was telling us, talking about, you know, the land, the acorns, the moon, hummingbirds, all of these things, and just being there, and you can feel that Oak Flat is alive, like she's alive, and you feel that there. And I know that it's different styles of mining, and Morenci's been there since 1872, and I can't bear to think what it would be like if this project goes through. And if this project goes through in regards to the DEIS, it violates the tribal concerns and cultural impacts, because you're hearing from the people here the tribal concerns and cultural impacts of these places. Like, how could you sit here time and time again and disregard what they're saying? Like, I hope you're listening. And you know, it just, if this project goes through, it perpetuates the genocide on Native rights, religion, sovereignty, people for the past 525 plus years. And you know, I didn't get to grow up with my sacred places because of some of those reasons. And again, you've heard from the children, the mothers, the elders, everyone in between who's Apache, this is their land. This is, since time immemorial, their ceremonial place. This is where they go. And I urge you to listen. I urge you to break that cycle of human rights abuses that has been committed on Native people for so long now. You have that power to stop this. You have that power to put in a word. So I urge you, I pray that y'all listen, that you listen to when people talk about what this means, because it's more than just words on a paper. This goes a lot deeper than that. Thank you. Number 60.
Hi, Dr. Bear. My name is Basta Pike, Baasepike. I am 15 years old, and I'd first like to state that I disagree about the mining at Oak Flat. What this mine will do will destroy my religion and part of my life. I am Vanessa Nose's daughter, the youngest one who connected Oak Flat with Metrosian and Mount Ground. What this mine would do about about breaking Oak Flat, it'll destroy my life. It'll destroy my sister's life, my two other older cousins who have their dances there. It'll destroy their lives. And what happens to my little cousins that want to have their dance there? It's all about the future generation that I have to think about, and even now. What I noticed on the presentation when it was talking was that it was saying it would disturb the historic and prehistoric stuff that's there, when actually it's going to destroy stuff that when actually it's not historic and prehistoric, because right now, in the present and in the future, I'm here and I'm going to have children, I'm going to have grandchildren who are going to be there. So it's going to destroy, so it's going to hurt it no matter what. It's gonna be a circle, it's gonna just destroy it. And what's the whole point of freedom of religion when you're gonna destroy it? There's no point of freedom of religion if you're gonna take my culture away, my land away, my ancestors who are on there. You're gonna take it away, and it's gonna break my heart. It's gonna break my grandparents' heart. It's gonna break my mom's heart. I'll be there with my grandparent once more to stand with him. It doesn't matter. That's how much Oak Flat means to me. I know my sisters will be there. So it doesn't matter if you have to physically remove me off there. I'm gonna stand there with my grandparent at Oak Flat to protect it. And I know, you could do something about it. We're behind you. We're 100% behind you. But if you're not gonna do anything, when I'm older, I'm gonna take your job. I'm gonna take it. So that if this ever happens again, I'll make the right decision, and so that no one else has to go through what we're going through. That's it. Yeah, so.
My name is Duke Romero, D-U-K-R-O-M-E-R-O. I'm here for the same reason. You met my other half of my children. Soleil's my daughter. She wants her dance there. We're, as a family, making those preparations. We don't know when it's going to come. So we have things that we put away up there at Oak Flat, getting ready for this ceremony for our daughter. Also my son, my little son. I'm Hickory's Pueblo. There's Pueblo ruins that run up and all down through this Tonto National Forest that have ties to this area for hundreds and hundreds, thousands of years. We've been traveling through here, moving freely. We know the area. We're the experts. My son's umbilical cord is buried at Oak Flat. So when you destroy that place, you're taking his life too. My baby son is 16 years old. My daughter's things that they're putting away there for getting ready for the ceremony with my brothers, my cousins. They're put away up there, and you're taking that. You have the opportunity to change that. That a lot of people have come and said, you have a legacy. How do you want your grandchildren to remember you? Your grandchildren. All these folks here have grandchildren. We talk about this genocide, this environmental racism that's happening. A lot of these people you haven't even notified. The people in Santan were notified 3 days before the meeting. You're playing with people's lives here. So I ask you, on behalf of my children, their future, please do the right thing. My niece, all 3 of them have had their ties to that area, and you're going to affect their life. And that's the warning to all you here, is you might not know these spiritual ways of the Apache, but you know life. You have grandchildren. That's what we're talking about here. That's the genocide, the children. So thank you.
71. $72? Or you're 71? Oh, sorry.
Hello, my name is Fred Miramon, F-R-E-D-M-I-R-A-M-O-N. Excuse me. I'm a resident from Superior, Arizona. I come here today to comment on the draft environment impact statement, section 31.3.10. I'm going to say what it says, but first of all, I want to bring out something to your attention. Most of you commute east going towards Globe, up to the White Mountain, and you got to go through the Queen Creek Tunnel. I want you guys to picture the slope on the north side. There's a cavity, or there's an island of boulders that looks like a potential rock slide. Keep that in mind whenever you travel the Highway 1670, that's major highway hub. But keep that in mind, because what I'm going to address to you right now is that on that section, it addresses 3 areas of interest. And first one is the tailings embankment safety. The second one is the fire risk. And the third one is the potential for release or public exposure to hazardous material. I believe a fourth concern of interest must be included with this section. The fourth area of interest should point out the potential rock boulder slide that sits on the northern slope of the mountain between milepost 228 going east towards the Queen Creek Tunnel. Just as you enter the Queen Creek Tunnel, it rests on the northern slope, waiting to be bothered. It has been visible for many years. It's located on Resolution Copper Company mining claim. They have 6 claims on that location. Highway 6070, going and coming from Globe, Arizona and other eastern cities, is a major highway hub. Additional components must be included on the EIS reports and analysis on subsidence that will take place throughout the scope of this mining project. These components, such as dewatering the mine and the old mine tailings that exist open underground, and the large amounts of explosives used for blasting with this new mining method of block caving, and the potential new development of an inclined conveyor drift to move rock from underground mining. All these components would add more ground stress to that area, in which ground movement can arise to a ground instability. The rock boulder slide sits close to the sensitive study area that was taking place on this study. Sensitive receptors should be placed in this area and monitored for boulder movement and ground movement. There must not be an oversight on this potential rock boulder slide for the safety of public commuters traveling on this section of the highway. And I ask the question, who will be monitoring this? Resolution Copper Company or the Forest Department? It is important that that has to be checked out periodically, because of all the ground movement, that could cause major safety to the public traveling through there.
72.
Michael Hing, M-I-C-H-A-E-L, last name Hing, H-I-N-G. Probably some of you know who I am. I'm the former mayor's town superior. And so, by the history, what's going on, been out of the political realm for quite a while since they kicked me out of office. That's all the process. And I know Chairman Nosey, we respect each other. I know him very well. St. Carlos. Neil, I know you got a tough job. You got a really tough job. But I'm gonna let you know, Mr. Chavez, he worked for me, and yes, I fired him. Okay. When the project first began, this was the project actually, when I walked in to my office, the year I was the mayor, says, we're gonna go after this huge ore body. It's huge. How huge is it? It's big. And that was the beginning. He only had 1 staff. He was himself. And then before you know it was 2, 3. And the rest is history. But I just want to let you know, it's big. It's a big project. And everybody talks about the economics behind it. It's 600,000 tons of copper a year. 600,000 tons. The Ray Mine pit does 150,000 tons. 600,000 tons of copper out of the Superior hole. That's incredible. So the magnitude is huge. I sold the project to the town of Superior. I worked hard on selling that project. I went even testified before Congress in the Senate hearing to sell that project. And I worked hard to do that for all those years. But you know, a lot of things happen in that time period. You begin to see how companies operate and just start questioning things. I've always said, told the company officials, even though they said, I'm here for the long haul. Been through, I think there's been 7 since I've left. You know, 7 leaders of that company. But I always told them to do what's right. And that was always been my question, are you doing what's right? Have you, that's why I'm telling the Forest Service, hey, if you need to hold back, study this more, study it more. Because I could write a book on my interactions with the company. It's incredible. You know, people ask me, what's your position? I don't know. It's in between. I'm asking to do what's right. To do what's right. And that's all I'm asking, because there's been a breakdown initially with the San Carlos strike. It was incredible after that Senate hearing what was going on. And I couldn't believe they didn't even talk to Chairman Nosey about it. So that's what I'm saying. There's been a breakdown in communication, and that's what needs to be handled again. Start communicating. This will be a good project for everyone, but it may not be the project people expect, the easiest route. I've held the company accountable because I asked them to do these certain things, monitors, testing. We don't do that. Talk about reclamation. Well, hold them accountable to above reclamation. No, we're just gonna do what's required. Man, I said, you wanna sell this project, you gotta go above and beyond. Just like they did the reclamation in Superior, it's beautiful. And then they stopped. Okay? Hold the company accountable. Project's gonna go, I'm telling people it's big. But you know what, Neil, you got a tough job. You gotta put it all on the table. I mean, I've been through the politicians from Washington all to the local level. That's not pretty. That's why I'm not into politics. I'm really sick of it. Okay? No, but do the right thing. Okay?
'73.
Good evening. Teresa Nosey, Yanishia, Kochi, Imshne, Hatnastatni, Eda Shanara, Natna Aha San Donasha. My name is Teresa Nosey, THERESA NOSIE. I'm here this evening to give you my comments on the draft EIS. And this is my granddaughter, one of my many granddaughters, Soleil, who wants to have her dance there and has been preparing to have her sunrise dance or coming of age there. When the draft EIS came out, we looked at it. We, of course, all of us looked at it, and all of us knew that it impacted us some way or another, whether it was our water, whether it was the place that we went for recreation, or there were a lot of other reasons why we're all here today. But the one thing that is important to me as a grandmother and a mother is that my children, my grandchildren, they have a connection to a place. They have a connection to this place, and they have decided that that's where they're going to have their dance at. And if it comes about that it's time for their dance and that place is not there, it's detrimental to them. It's detrimental to us. If you look at the draft EIS, all it does is talk about cultural significance of the native people that live there. Well, if you go and look at the definition of cultural significance, it has to do with history about things that are there or there before. And all of us know that Apaches live there, and Yavapai people live there, and Aravaipa people, and a lot of people live there. There's places that are shown that are there, but that isn't the issue. You're saying that you're gonna take that and move it somewhere else. Why would you take somebody's body and move it somewhere else and say that that's okay? You know, it's just like going to a graveyard and taking somebody's body and moving it somewhere else, and that's okay. Well, it's not okay. And the other thing is, you have not addressed at all the value of this place to the people that are going to take part in their ceremonies, in their religion, in their livelihood. You have no value in the DES. You don't even talk about religion there. I don't understand why you don't. Religious freedom is given to people in the United States. People fight for religious freedom, but you're not even discussing religious freedom at all. And that means you're discriminating. You're taking one religion over another, especially when you leave it out.
Good evening. My name's Kurt Shannon, C-U-R-T-S-H-A-N-N-O-N, and I live in Gold Canyon right now. I first got involved with this project in 2004, 2005, when I heard there was going to be a large copper mine built out there. I've been a rock climber for about 40 years now, and if this mine goes through as planned, it'll be the largest loss of a climbing resource in the history of the United States. So that affects me very deeply. But I'm not going to talk about my personal loss in that respect. I'm going to talk about some other things. I just think philosophically that the Forest Service should not permit any project, particularly one that will cause significant cultural and environmental damage, unless they have some realistic expectation that the company seeking the permit can actually successfully complete and operate the project. And I don't think that's the case here. It certainly isn't demonstrated in the DEIS. So John Rickus, like 12 or 13 years ago, he was the president of Resolution Copper at one point in time. He said in congressional testimony that the mine was going to take 40,000 acre-feet of water per year. And I think that should be used as a minimum number. I think they were probably being a little bit low on their estimates at that time. So where's that water going to come from? Supposedly about 500,000 acre-feet have been banked by the mine, but if it is 400,000 or 40,000 acre-feet per year, there's about 1.2 million acre-feet that are completely unaccounted for. They're going to have to get it from somewhere, but where? It's not in the DEIS. It doesn't say where they're going to get the water. Well, probably they're going to pump it from right here, from the ground in Pinal County. And, you know, we're going deeper and deeper into a drought. That water is going to be needed by communities like this, by agriculture, by all kinds of other uses. When we get to a stage 1 reduction at Hoover Dam in Lake Mead, CAP is going to be cut by an additional 320,000 acre-feet per year of water, and that's going to just exacerbate this problem. I don't have much time left. I want to talk about power. They say they're going to take about 250 megawatts of power to run the mine. Where are they going to get it? There's just a little paragraph in the mine plan, and it says they're going to get it from SRP. But they can't get it from the Silver King substation. The 500 megawatt line coming in there is already oversubscribed according to SRP. And there's a good chance that they're going to need a whole lot more power than that. If they run into more hot water, they could take upwards of a gigawatt, maybe as much as 2 gigawatts of power. And now you're talking about 25% of the entire generating capacity of SRP. I just think there's all kinds of holes in this project, and I think a lot more work needs to be done on the EIS.
Okay, that is everyone that had signed up in advance to speak. So we do have more time open for the public hearing if there is anyone else that did not sign up but would like to provide a comment.
Hello, my name is Paul Solomito. I live in Queen Valley, here in the valley. I think I'm the first one to speak in the valley. Anyway, I moved here about 4 years ago, and then we found out we're gonna have, try to have the mining operation just above the dam over here where all the tailings are trying to be put. And we have a beautiful situation here in Queen Valley with a lot of residents, and I think there's a few of us here. Who is here from Queen Valley? Yay! We have a beautiful golf course. We retired, most of us are retired here. It's a beautiful scenery. It's a nice place to live. And, you know, I feel for Oak Flats, I really do. But I also feel for Queen Valley. And we do have an alternative that's been presented. And I think that the Forest Department's doing a good job trying to find that alternative. And I've been speaking with some people today, and they said that there's a possible chance that Skunk Camp will be a alternative location. I don't know if that's going to be a good location, but it's not the location above our dam here in Queen Valley. And people can be affected no matter where this is gonna be put. And I think that if it has to be put somewhere, we just have to decide what the best place can be for it, if it has to be by law. And so I think the Forest Department's doing a good job on trying to find out where the least impact will be. And they've got one going. Also, I'd like to say that the water quality issue is a big issue, and that as a golf member here, I'm assuming that I own a chunk of it, and that I also own a chunk of the water rights that are with this golf course. So we're concerned about the quality of water if they do put it behind this dam over here of ours, and you know, we need to protect that situation and have it checked out thoroughly, and make sure that that water quality is kept, because we have rights to that water, and we don't want a huge company overriding those rights by contaminating our water supplies, whether it be drinking water or agricultural water. So I want to thank you for your time and for listening, and love some other people to get up here and talk.
Anyone else interested in providing a comment? Well, I'll let anyone who hasn't spoken yet that would like to provide a comment.
Dwight Metzger, DWIGHT METZGER. At the risk of handing on that last note, I feel compelled to say something.